At Broadcom Explore 2025, Broadcom named Zenera a strategic partner in its private AI foundation, alongside NVIDIA and Intel. They also introduced Intelligent Assist, an advanced Gen AI solution powered by Zenera's application-level AI platform. Seamlessly embedded into vDefend Firewall and Avi Load Balancer, Intelligent Assist enables enterprise operations to be smarter, faster, and more secure. Here are highlights from the talk delivered by Broadcom leadership.
That apply to it. Now you go ahead and download this as a report. And can that IP address access group VMFin app? And this is a group, the application group. I'm not explicitly telling it which VMs within that group. And it's giving me all of the detailed information, not just in a chart format, but also detailing out when it was last modified, who created it, at what time. So it's giving me all the necessary information I may need. And then finally, I'm going to ask the question, show me the rules that allow RDP traffic, and as I suspected, I only get one rule. But let's say that if it had printed out more rules where it was not supposed to be using RDP traffic, this would give me instant access to the information I need.
I can make this available to our teams, right? They can ask these questions themselves.
Yes, to vDefend and type those things out. We do have checks and balances in place so that when you log in with your role-based access control, you can only make changes if you're an authorized administrator.
So admins can make changes, but the application team owners can't make changes.
Correct.
They can just ask questions and troubleshoot and so on.
Correct.
If that's the yeah.
So I think the more you enable self-service, the more time that you get as administrators to come to conferences like these and to learn about innovations like these. So there's one more thing I want to show you, Rhonda, and this is about rule cleanup. This is one of the dreaded chores that we always have. I want it to show me a summary of when each rule was created after July 2025. We'll just do a quick scan. I could also ask that question in terms of when was it last modified. Show me a list of rules that are currently disabled. These rules have been disabled for 6 months, 9 months. Why are they still here? They're probably causing me some issues here. So shows a bunch of duplicate rules. There's a total of 5 rules that are currently disabled. And I want to ask, how many groups are not using any firewall rule? Imagine if you had to do this through the UI or going through and asking someone to create a script, you'd have to loop through every single firewall rule, loop through every single group to see if it's actually using the source destination or applied. But here, it immediately spits out the list of unused groups in any firewall rule. You can export that and go ahead and do your cleanup. But this actually leads to a great thing of, well, maybe something can help me automate.
If we're done with all of this quickly, we have time to automate, right? And maybe we can get something done this week.
Right? So that leads us to our third use case, which is around firewall as code. So I don't want to have to go manually clicking through, and I probably don't want to wait for my DevOps guy to come back and write for me a script, or pay somebody 2 weeks of consulting time to write this script out for me. And so what Intelligent Assist will do is it understands our vDefend APIs. It's been trained on a number of code samples, and based upon the language of your choosing, it will automatically generate the script. And you can go ahead and customize it or use it as is.
Love it. Any language, huh?
Well, we're still training on it. So here's an example.
Will you also put in comments in that automation?
Yes, actually, I think we might have, we'll be able to show some of that. No one likes to do their documentation on their code, do they?
Yes.
So here I'm going to generate a shell script for deleting all groups with a tag of sales test or sale disabled for cleanup. And it'll go ahead and create for me that shell script. I can copy that script and execute it on my own.
Awesome. Yep. Metrics and logs and transactions, as well as configuration and knowledge base. And we are adding all of this to a Gen AI system. And much like what we saw for vDefend, the goal is to ask questions in natural language, and the Gen AI assistant will put together information from multiple sources and give you correct answers back that you can take as action. That's the goal.
And what are some of the key use cases that I can run
mean, one of the big questions that load balancing teams often get blamed for is application performance or errors. If there is some problem, it's always the network, right? And network, of course, includes services like firewalls and load balancers. So in this case, if some application sees some errors or some higher latency, then it has to be load balanced, right? And so that's kind of the first set of questions that we get asked. Other things that come up are specific problems on a specific load balancer and how you troubleshoot it. Things like how do I automate, which is always a terrible thing. And of course, when it's time to upgrade, should I upgrade? Does this release even make sense to me to upgrade? So those are all common problems that I do.
So I just got a ticket, and they're complaining about the application again, and I've already ruled out it's not the firewall's problem. And I've kind of dug through a little bit with my third-party load balancer. It takes about 9 different steps for me to go through, collect all the network traffics, look at the virtual server pools. Surely there's something a little bit easier for me with PM or Avi if I were to jump on board?
Of course, let's take a look. So with Avi, the way that you would debug this is, there are nice dashboards that are already built out that you can look at the latency, the performance. You can check for any errors. You can also check the service health. There's a health score per service. It includes things like performance and anomalies, security penalties, and so on and so forth. And of course, you can check the associated application pool members and finally get to an answer. But is there a better, faster way than even that? That is the question.
So instead of clicking 9 different places to collect this information, you think Gen AI can show me what it
Just
can do?
ask the questions.
All right.
All right, so in this case, what we have is we have a couple of virtual services. We want to debug and troubleshoot one of the virtual services. But before you even do that, you can just say, okay, take a look at all my virtual services, describe them and analyze them, and just show me all the virtual services. Next thing is you can say specifically zeroing on one of them and say, okay, summarize some potential problems in these virtual services. And it will tell you, okay, it saw these errors, this was the performance, it will analyze and say, okay, these are the events that occurred, and these are the possible remediations on that. It not just point out potential problems, but it also have links to solutions and so on.
So if you combine a little bit of from the metric side, root cause, and as well as combine for me some knowledge base articles of what to do next?
Yes, I mean, finally something that can actually think like a human, where you look at, you sift through these metrics quickly, and then you say, okay, these things don't look right. And then you can correlate that with potentially some events and some logs that are there. And then also have ready pointers to what does it mean? How do I remediate it? So it's something that is finally getting close to a holistic look at the data that we have and trying to present that.
So I want to drill down a little bit further based upon some of these recommendations. So let's see what else I can do here. Show me some details about the performance analysis.
That's right. Yeah. So if you really want to just get an overview of the performance of either a virtual service or a pool, it can give you a lot of information. It can summarize the errors, the transactions, the throughput, the latency over time. It can correlate that with configuration events that happened at that time. It can correlate that with anomalies that happened at that time. And you have all of this at your fingertips by just typing in a question.
I love how Gen AI aggregated all the key pieces of information. I can just go ahead and download this dialogue and send it off.
Absolutely, and it's easy to share with your application team members. And like we spoke about earlier, they could ask these questions themselves if you make it easy to do.
Absolutely. And I think I might have seen another ticket come in around my service engine performance. There's just a lot of different things. Could Gen AI also help me with SE performance troubleshooting?
It is a lot, isn't it? Again, we collect a lot of this information about service engine performance metrics, CPU utilization, memory utilization, network utilization, packet drops, errors, things of that nature. So you could certainly, and there are dashboards, so you can look at those dashboards and you can try to zero in on what the issue is, or you can just ask.
All right, let's go ahead and ask them. All right, so give me all the performance details and traffic analysis for all the SCs.
There you
Let's
go.
see what it comes up with.
Yeah, it goes through all the SCs. It looks at a variety of key metrics, including CPU, memory, network errors, and it looks at trends over time. It's able to spot some things that could be potential problems. And of course, as always, it gives you links to do further reading and how to remediate some of these situations.
And I love that it's zoned in on specific time periods in which they were seeing some of those spikes.
Exactly, and it's smart enough to really understand. If you say between 12 midnight and 3 a.m., it's smart enough to actually just look at time periods during that and analyze that data.
All right, well, I'm sold. I'd like to move off of the legacy load balancer, and I hear you guys have a conversion tool from those load balancers, but once I get onto Avi, how do I decide what version to run and whether it's safe to upgrade?
Yes.
Everything. Surely there's something easier because we're software defined now, right?
Absolutely, and this is a problem across all products, right? When I have to decide whether to upgrade to the latest release, I absolutely have to do that. If there's some, let's say, critical bug and an advisory that came out saying that because of this, we urge you to upgrade from this release to some other release that fixes it. But the question is, when that advisory comes out or when that CVE comes out, am I susceptible to it or not? If I'm not, then I may consider upgrading later. Okay? So how do I find that out quickly? That's the question.
And because I'm new to Avi load balancer, I really don't know where on your website I should look. So maybe I'll give that Gen AI a try. So should I upgrade to Avi 30.1, and does it have any issues on 30.2.3 related to my VNet queues on my service engines? And I'm not looking for a big full list of all the different known issues. I only want it to pinpoint ones in that VNet queue. So
This was the advice.
Summarized it for me.
Yeah. And then once you know the advisory and you know the issues mentioned in that, you can simply ask, am I susceptible to it or not? And you can ask that about any issue, of course. And what it does is really, it takes the description of that issue. It tries to see, based on the description, whether the configuration matches with that, whether some events have occurred that matches with that, or some other errors or alarms have been thrown that matches with that, and then it makes a determination that you are or you're not susceptible.
Yeah, especially if I'm going into an IT freeze towards the end of this year, if I'm not susceptible to this particular issue, that might be something where I can defer my upgrade to after the year.
Yeah.
What about automation?
Yeah, now that we're quickly going through these, let's see if we can automate it.
Yeah, so normally with the hardware-based load balancer, I'm just not familiar with those APIs. I'd have to wait until my DevOps guy comes back. He's probably got a very long workload of items. So I really don't want to have to wait just to create an Ansible script to create a new virtual server. So what can Gen AI help me with on the Avi load balancer?
Yeah, automation is always a little bit of a challenge, right? Because you have to understand the schema of that specific product, and you have to understand the nuances of each and every field. Some fields are default, some fields are mandatory. So it takes some effort. You have to do some reading, you have to try it out and do it. But what if it was just easy, where you summarize what you really want, and then the system generates an object for you that you can just run or use it in another piece of code, right? That's the action.
These are not things you fed. It automatically learned and automatically is generating new scripts.
That's right.
All right, so give me a new Ansible script which creates a new virtual service, and I name it Demo 1. than 2 seconds, and it also annotated it with some
comments, of course. Yeah, I mean, the key for me now is even if I had done no of the automation, I now know what the fields look like, which one's mandatory, and then based on my need, which one needs to be filled in. If it's my IP or some configuration or some health monitor or some certificate, I know exactly which one needs to be filled in and how the automation works. So not only it did the work for me, it also helped me learn how I can take it from there.
Great. Well, it looks like for all of these 4 use cases, we're able to reduce the number of steps using traditional methods of digging through information, trying to dig through multiple different metrics, trying to correlate it on my own. It seems like you've simplified it from 7 steps down to 1 for me.
Looks like we'll survive the summer.
So when can I get this? So this is the innovation track, and so a lot of these things are still under development, but if you would like to see this in action, please come stop by our solution demo booth for an actual demo. And you'll see things like this, but we'll also be able to type some live queries in there as well. So, Rhonda, I think this is really promising, innovative stuff, but I also want to make sure and reassure our audience here that we're not compromising privacy or efficiency. It's very important that the data that I care about stays within my premises, stays within where I need it to be. And so the way that we've architected it, it's always with privacy in mind. So what we have here is the services platform, and on the services platform, we've installed the Intelligent Assist as our AI backend on it. And we are leveraging a large language model that is running in the cloud for this initial first demonstration. And this LLM can be running in either a Broadcom account, so it helps you get started very quickly, or you can go ahead and bring your own, so your own tokens, your own account. And you can go ahead and connect the exact same AI engine backend to serve the needs of both vDefend as well as Avi in one single form factor. So we're trying to reduce that resource footprint for our customers as much as possible.
Absolutely. Will I also be able to use GPUs on my private AI when it's available?
Yeah, so today we're using large language models running in the cloud, and with all of these really cool new announcements at VMware Explore this week with Private AI Foundation, the thought process is also, especially for our customers that are air-gapped, we're going to start to pull the LLMs down into AWS as well. So I'm curious with this audience, just a quick show of hands, for those of you bringing in all of these operational insights precisely around the specific information that you need for the specific version that you're running, we can basically reduce the amount of steps and amount of time you're spending trying to troubleshoot and collect the evidence. And we accelerate that troubleshooting and remediation. Instead of saying, hey, go look at these 10 other charts, we can tell you here's the exact pinpointed reason of why something wasn't working. And then we proactively identify configuration issues by optimizing and ensuring that you have designed everything to reference designs and best practices. So as we understand your environment and your configurations, we can match that to what we have in documentation and spit out some recommendations for you as to where we see opportunities for firewall misconfiguration, cleanup, load balance, or optimizations.
Really powerful. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Can you ask Broadcom to work harder?
So if you would like to learn a little bit more, Rhonda and I will be here to answer any questions.